Stop. Stop the bargaining. If your prayer is still a transaction, Lord, give me this, change that, fix them, stop. In that very motion, you confess what is not true, that God is absent, that God must be moved, that your words can budge the infinite. The moment you ask for outcomes, you step out of the kingdom, for the kingdom of God is within you, not dangled before you like a prize for good behavior. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. If that is so, then what do you imagine you are doing with your many words, your tightened jaw, your trembling intensity? Who taught you that the Spirit must be persuaded? As long as you try to get something from God, you stand outside the door knocking on your own house. As long as you plead, you affirm separation. As long as you promise and bargain, I will be better if you will be nearer, you introduce the lie that omnipresence is far away. Be not as the heathen, who think they shall be heard for their much speaking. It is not the length of your prayer. It is not the heat of your petition. It is not the ingenuity of your argument. Those are all faith in your mind, your thought, your power. And as long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. We have been trained to think of God as changeable, as one who may be swayed by our urgency, our tears, our formulas. That is not God. That is a projection of our fear. I am the Lord, I change not. If God is one, then power is one, presence is one, life is one, and there is nothing outside of that oneness to be argued into place. You cannot improve God, and you cannot add God to an otherwise godless situation. The instant you try, you deny the very isness you seek. Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to his stature? Who by pleading can add God to where God already is? I know how radical this sounds to ears that have lived on effort, but be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy in spiritual things. I admit it. I can of mine own self do nothing. Let that confession rid you of the secret superstition that your intensity is causative. You are not the engineer of grace. Harmony does not come by your might or by your power. Harmony comes by grace. Prayer, then, is not telling God what to do. Prayer is becoming still enough to know what already is. Be still and know that I am God. Not be loud and convince. Be still and know. Let your tongue fall out before you go one step further in bargaining. Hold those teeth together if necessary. Be still. Do not explain your need. Do not outline your outcome. That very impulse to outline is the serpent whispering, thou art separate, thou must manage God. No, God is. That's all. Let that be the end of seeking and the beginning of seeing. True prayer puts you on the receiving end of God. It is the relinquishment of mental push for spiritual receptivity. It does not reach toward God. It rests in God. Hear the Master. When ye pray, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. Shut the door on your bargains, your timetables, your techniques, your holy bribes. Close it on the noise that insists presence must be produced. In that shutting, you are not abandoning life. You are abandoning the lie of distance. The kingdom is not later. The kingdom is not elsewhere. The kingdom is within you. Therefore, stop. Stop the motion that declares absence. Stop the pleading that enthrones your thought as power. Stop and let the simple fact dawn. God is. In that is, grace appears not because you called it, but because it never left. Now let us set the foundation. For without it you will return to bargaining cloaked in more refined language. There are 2 parts to this work. There is the letter of truth, words about God, statements, quotations, doctrines, and there is the spirit or consciousness of truth, the living realization that God is. The apostle said it without ornament, the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Do not be offended by that word killeth. It only means that the letter by itself is dead. It is not power. It points, it prepares, it purifies the corridor of the mind. But power is not in the pointing. Power is in the presence to which it points. Look at the modern trap in which earnest seekers are snared. Books upon books, techniques upon techniques, affirmations, decrees, treatments, formulas, some of them even beautiful. And yet the heart remains restless, the night still noisy, the fear only moved from one corner of the room to another. Why? Because the mind has subtly enthroned itself as priest and performer. If only I say the right words, in the right order, with the right intensity, God will come. Who by arranging syllables can add God to where God already is? Who by ornamenting truth can make truth truer? As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Be very firm in your understanding of the inadequacy of memory, of argument, of verbal prayer. I do not say they are evil, I say they are preparatory. The letter is a crutch that must be laid down when the Spirit stands you up. Use the letter to turn the mind away from idols, health, supply, reputation, safety, and then let it turn away from itself too. Be still and know that I am God. Not be wordy and persuade, not be clever and construct. Be still and know. Knowledge here is not information. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. It is realized. It dawns, as the sun does, not because you tugged at it, but because you cease trying to light lamps at noon. Hear the Master. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. If that is so, then the letter's task is not to inform the Father. The letter's task is to inform you of your own ignorance, to usher you into that blessed poverty of spirit in which you cease performing separation. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Truth as information is not power. Truth realized, spirit felt within, as the only is the opening through which grace appears. Harmony does not come by organizing your thoughts. Harmony appears where thought no longer claims authority. Do not wield statements as a wand. Do not hurl verses at appearances. That is mental causation wearing a halo. Take the word only to lay it down in silence, like placing a key in a door and then stepping through. God is. That is a letter until it dissolves the speaker, until it is no longer believed but known, no longer repeated but realized. Then my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, becomes not a sentence you admire, but the atmosphere you breathe. How, then, shall we proceed tonight? We will let the letter do its humble work, and no more. We will let a few sentences wash the dust from our feet, and then we will be still. We will move from talking about God to turning within to God, from mental effort to quiet receptivity, from managing outcomes to consenting to presence. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. That acquaintance is not a handshake of ideas. It is the dawning of oneness recognized. In that oneness, where practitioner and patient and God are not three but one, there is nothing to fix, nothing to add, nothing to fear. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So, retire your spiritual collecting. Let your shelves be full if they must. Let your heart become empty. Stop trying to feel holy. Stop trying to feel anything. Let the words you have loved, God is, I am that I am, the Lord is my shepherd, do their work and then fall silent. In that silence, you will not reach God. You will find you never left. And when grace appears, you will know it not by sensations, not by fireworks, but by the simple fact that fear has lost its voice and love has no opposite. That is our way. From letter to spirit, from saying to seeing, from effort to grace. Now let us come to the uncompromising center around which all of our work turns. God is one. Hear it as Israel heard it. The Lord our God is one Lord. If God is one, then power is one. If power is one, then there are not two powers, not a good power and a bad power, not spirit and something else. Anything that claims a separate authority, fear, disease, the economy, a diagnosis, a headline, a memory, is a claim without law, a voice without breath. I am the Lord, I change not. In that I, there is no rival. In that I, there is not a second cause to be appeased, argued with, or subdued. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because if you grant your thought power to help, you have already conceded that another thought has power to harm. You have set up two thrones in a kingdom that has room for only one. Then you tremble before your own mind. You polish affirmations in the daytime and hide from suggestions at night. That is mental causation wearing both masks, the sunny and the shadowed. Neither has power. Thought is not power. God is power. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Your mind's might is not the Spirit's might. Your argument's power is not God's power. Ask yourself plainly, who by taking thought has made daylight, stilled an ocean, or added 1 cubit to stature? Who by rehearsing verses has removed from God any part of God's own universe? The Master stood before Pilate and said, Thou couldst have no power at all against me except it were given thee from above. If that is so, and it is so, then where does disease derive its warrant? Where does lack derive its authority? Where does fear get its teeth? Only from your belief that there are two. Fear is the echo of your faith in a second power. This is not a call to positive thinking. It is the end of thinking as power. It is not the practice of speaking down appearances. It is the recognition that the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. Light does not argue darkness into a corner. Light is, and darkness is no thing but the absence of recognition. So too, spirit is and terror is only the shadow cast by a mind that insists upon another cause. When you acknowledge God as the only power, the shadow cannot speak with your voice. Perfect love casteth out fear, not affectionate emotion, but the perfection of realized oneness dissolves the claim of a rival. Let us make this very practical. We are not using prayer to move circumstances around on a board to push a condition from one square to another. We are surrendering the belief that there is a board at all outside the presence of God. We are consenting that God is the only cause, the only law, the only life, the only presence in the place where a problem claims to be. When you cling to two, you work without rest. You plead, you plan, you fight shadows. When you rest in one, you cease resisting what is not there. Harmony appears not made by you, not fetched from afar, appears as the fact that was never absent, recognized the moment the lie of a second power is dropped. Do not attempt to conquer fear with a stronger affirmation. Do not brace yourself with verbal courage. Stop. Be still. Let the belief in two subside like silt in clear water. Be still and know that I am God. Not I in disease, not I in lack, not I and the law of averages. I am, God is. That is not an idea to hurl. It is a realization to receive. And as it dawns, you will notice something quiet but unmistakable. Intimidation loses its right. It may knock at the door, but it has no deed to the house. The lion becomes a rumor. The report becomes air. The night becomes a hallway with a light on already. Some will say, but the condition looks real. The numbers are real. The body is real. I do not argue with appearances. I refuse to grant them authority. You cannot see God with the eye, hear God with the ear, taste, touch, smell, or think God. Yet God is the reality that is, God is not material proof. It is presence realized. And in that realization, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper, not because you built a higher wall of thought, but because you discovered there is no second armory. So our aim is not to win battles in the mind. Our aim is to awaken to one power and let every other so-called power be found a pretender. Then prayer is not a push, it is a pause. It is not a contest, it is a consent. You do not move God into the field of affairs. You acknowledge the field is God's and always was. In that acknowledgement, fear cannot command you. Conditions cannot intimidate you. Mental causation cannot recruit you. All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth, said the Christ, not to a person, but to the presence. And the Father within doeth the works. Here the end of fear is the end of two. Here the end of two is the beginning of peace. God is. That's all. If there is one power, then the little worker you have enthroned inside the planner, the persuader, the spiritual performer, has no office in this government. Hear the Master. I can of mine own self do nothing. He did not feign humility. He stated law. The Father within me, he doeth the works. As long as you try to help God, improve God, or hurry God, you affirm the presence of a second power called you. As long as you strain, you deny grace. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy, not as shame, as doorway. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This poverty is the end of performance and the beginning of presence. Who is it that tries to pray better, louder, longer? Who counts the repetitions, polishes the phrases, tightens the will, and calls it faith? It is the same personal self that wanted outcomes 5 minutes ago. It has put on religious clothes, but it is the same actor. Stop performing. God is not reached by a costume change, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Your might is not his Spirit. Your persuasive power is not his presence. As long as you believe there is power in your concentration, you will also fear the power of your distraction. That is still two thrones. Very quietly, take this discipline tonight. Be firm with yourself in unmasking the inner performer. When you notice the push, the bracing, the bargaining, do not go on a moment longer. Be still. Shut the door of your lips. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Do not outline. Do not explain. Do not decorate. With the simplicity of a child, turn within and yield. Let me turn this over to the Father. Let me feel thy presence, not as a talisman to be rattled, as the laying down of control. It is not the phrase that works. The Father within doeth the works. The phrase is a key that turns your face from self to source and then is set down. But if I do nothing, won't nothing be done? Who by taking thought has ever added a cubit to his stature? Who by rehearsing outcomes has ever added God to where God already is? Abide in me, said the Master. Apart from me, ye can do nothing. In abiding, fruit appears of itself. The branch does not try to be a vine. It rests in the vine, and the life of the vine bears fruit through it. So with supply, with health, with relationship. Grace begins where personal striving ends. You cannot see grace, hear it, taste, touch, smell, or think it. Yet in surrender, you feel the quiet fact of it. Fear losing its warrant, pressure losing its tongue, a soft rightness rising without your shove. Cast your burden upon the Lord, not by hurling problems upward, but by refusing to keep ownership. The personal doer keeps ownership. The personal doer says, if I don't keep this wheel turning, God may forget to be God. The personal doer is the author of fatigue and the father of anxiety. Let him retire. When I am weak, then am I strong, wrote the apostle. Because weakness here is simply the ceasing of self-assertion, and strength here is the life of God emerging unnoticed, unargued. My thoughts are not God's thoughts. My ways are not his ways. Good. Then let the lesser fall silent, that the greater may be known. Make this your inner turn. Again and again, withdraw from the compulsion to fix, from the momentum to manage. Enter thy closet and shut the door, not to abandon the world, but to abandon the lie that you run it. Say within yourself once, simply, honestly, Father, I turn this over. Not my will, but thine. Let me feel thy presence. Then be still. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let the prayer pray you. If words rise, let them float by. If no feeling comes, do not go fishing for it. Grace is not manufactured. It appears where you cease insisting on being the manufacturer. You will know this pivot is occurring not by fireworks, not by sudden warmth, but by the evaporation of the inner foreman. You will find yourself unhurried without trying to be slow, unafraid without talking yourself brave. The lion becomes a rumor because there is no second armory to supply it. And quietly, without announcement, harmony shows its face, not earned, not negotiated, revealed. This is the collapse of the personal doer. This is the blessed relief. God is. The Father within doeth the works. And here, on this ground, prayer ceases to be performance and becomes presence. And grace alone goes before you and makes the crooked places straight. Now we must face a habit so cherished that many will defend it even as it exhausts them. The habit of praying at God with words. Do not go on with vain repetition. Stop. Stop, not because words are sinful, but because words so often conceal the very resistance they pretend to remove. Use not vain repetition, said the Master, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. If the Father knows, then what is all this noise for? Who are you informing with your recitations, the omniscient or your fear? There was a dear woman who wrote to me saying she had spoken the same prayer 1,000 times in a week to be sure God heard. Beloved, the 1,000th word could not do what the first silence would have allowed. The mind believes that volume proves devotion, that many syllables move the spirit, but spirit is not moved by your syllables. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Your might of repetition is not the spirit. Your power of phrasing is not presence. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you will fear the power of a bad one. And as long as you fear or trust thought, you will keep up that drumbeat of words as if the infinite were asleep. True prayer is receptivity. It is the end of pushing, the end of informing, the end of trying to make God act. True prayer places you on the receiving end of God. It is wordless, thoughtless, inner listening. Be still and know that I am God. Not be loud and convince. Not be clever and construct. Be still. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Where is that temple? Within you. So let the earth of your agitation, the earth of your bargaining, keep silence before him. Some will ask, but if I do not speak, how shall God know my need? Who by taking thought has ever added God to where God already is? My sheep hear my voice, said the Master. Sheep do not manufacture the shepherd's voice. They recognize it. You do not produce peace by mechanical repetition. You stop interfering long enough for peace to be recognized. In quietness and in confidence, shall be your strength. Not in the confidence of a louder decree, but in the quietness that yields to the presence already at hand. Let me be very practical with you. When you notice yourself beginning to chant, to outline, to hammer at heaven, stop. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Turn within and say once honestly, Father, I turn this over. Let me feel thy presence. Then refrain. Do not reach for another sentence. Do not reach for a sensation. The Spirit itself maketh intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered. If it cannot be uttered, then your utterance will not help it remain. You cannot see grace, hear it, taste, touch, smell, or think it, but you can receive it. Reception is not a doing, it is the ceasing of doing. A father once took his little boy to the shore. The child cupped his hands and blew at the sea, commanding the waves to come. He grew red in the face, then angry, then ashamed. At last he sat down, tired, and said nothing. In that moment, without his breath or command, the tide rolled up and washed his feet. That is prayer. You are not the wind. You are the shore. Stop blowing. Consent to be where the sea already is. In a few moments, we will enter a brief silence together. Do not aim to manufacture peace there. Do not aim to feel holy. Aim at nothing. Let the aim fall away. Our practice is not to get God to appear. It is to stop resisting the God that is. The silence you enter is not empty. It is the receiving end of God. It is the place where the letter is laid down and the Spirit takes up the work. And how will you know it is real? Not by fireworks or warmth, but by the simple loss of intimidation, the quiet diminishing of the old habit to push, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Receive it not by mouth, but by stillness. God is, that's all. In that is, grace appears. Now we come to the simplest door you will ever be asked to open, the two-word treatment. Not a charm, not an affirmation, not an incantation to pull power into a powerless place. The two words are these: God is, not God will, not God please. Not God and God is. As the Lord said to Moses out of the bush, I am that I am. That is the ground of being, not a hope. In him we live and move and have our being, not a trying to have. So this becomes a minimalist discipline. We return again and again to isness as the only fact, the only cause, the only presence. The paradox is necessary to state so you do not fall back into magic. You are not using God is to change God, to change life, or to change matter. I am the Lord, I change not. You are not attempting to adjust the infinite. You are letting the words dissolve the false premise that anything else is power. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you must also fear the power of a bad one. Two words, rightly received, retire the whole theater. God is does not argue with appearances. God is removes your consent to a second cause. The light shineth in darkness. It does not wrestle it. It renders it nothing. How do you practice? You take these two words as a key, turn the lock once, and then put the key down. God is. Then stop. Hold those teeth together if you must. Do not add a tail to it. Do not qualify it with outcomes. Do not answer the mind's next 10 questions with 10 clever sentences. Let the questions exhaust themselves. What about the rent? What about the body? What about tomorrow? And do not be recruited as the answering machine. Be still and know that I am God. Not be quick and compose replies. Be still. The silence that follows is the prayer. The words open the door. If you find yourself leaning forward to feel something, withdraw that lean. If you find yourself trying to see whether it works, Recognize that watcher as the personal doer in religious clothing and let him sit down. The kingdom of God is within you. You are not ushering it in. You are ceasing to escort yourself out. You cannot see this, hear it, taste, touch, smell, or think it. But you can know it without sensation, as the soft evaporation of fear's authority, as the unhurried air in the room of your being. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not proof peace, presence peace. Some of you will say, but if I only say 2 words, won't nothing happen? Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to his stature? Who by piling words can add God to where God already is? The Master said, when ye pray, enter thy closet. 2 words usher you in, and the Spirit meets you there. The Father within doeth the works. Not the 2 words, not your mental focus, not your fervor. The 2 words are the end of seeking and the beginning of seeing. They end the hunt for a power to recruit and begin the recognition of the only power as already present. So take your stand, not a tent stand, a yielded one. God is. Then be very still. If an old fear trots by, do not chase it with Scripture. If a memory sings its sad little song, do not conduct it. Let it pass as wind through trees. Acquaint now thyself with him and be at peace. Acquaintance here is not a handshake of minds. It is the rest of being in being. And if nothing seems to happen, remember, the dawn does not make a noise. The sheep do not manufacture the shepherd's voice. They recognize it. My sheep hear my voice. 2 words, then quiet. That is the recognition. That is the doorway. God is. Tonight we prepare the inner room. Not the room in your house that will do as it is, but the room within where words are dismissed and presence is recognized. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. The closet is not a carpenter's box. It is the refusal to keep performing separation. So we begin with the body, not to perfect it, but to take it out of the play. Sit simply, feet on the floor if you can. Hands quiet, palms down if you are fidgeting, palms open if you are bracing. Let the spine be upright without soldiering. If there is a jacket to fuss with, take it off now and be done. If a cushion is needed, place it once and do not hold a committee meeting about comfort. Then be still. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Do not purse the lips. Do not shape a prayer. Do not gather a speech. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let the earth of your lips, the earth of your shoulders, the earth of your tapping foot keep silence before him. Do not count breaths. Do not measure seconds. Do not aim at a heartbeat. We are not doing a technique. We are refusing to act out anxiety with the body. Every fidget is the actor asking for a line. Deny it the script. If an itch arrives, either scratch it once without commentary or let it evaporate. If a leg grows heavy, shift once without apology and then be still again. We are not demonstrating endurance. We are ending performance. Be still and know that I am God. Not be rigid. Be still. Stillness is not a stunt. It is consent. Your mind will not enjoy this at first. It will demand a method, a measurement, a result. It will point at clocks. It will ask, how long, how deep, did anything happen? What do I feel? Am I better? Recognize that voice as the old manager of separation. Hear it once and do not negotiate. Do not strike a bargain, just 2 more minutes and then a sign. Stop. That mind is the petitioner before a God it imagines is absent. We are not petitioning. We are acknowledging, your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. Then what is left to do but consent to the already? Take the 2-word key and turn the lock once. God is. Then put the key down. Let the room be the atmosphere of that isness. In him we live and move and have our being. Do not try to feel God as if he were a mood to be summoned. Do not try to make light brighter. Light is, and the eyes of the heart adjust when the squinting stops. If warmth comes, do not announce it to yourself. If nothing comes, do not go fishing. The dawn does not make a noise. The sheep do not manufacture the shepherd's voice. They recognize it. Recognition grows in quiet, not in theater. Some will say, but music helps me, or a candle helps me. If you use them and forget them. They are not altars, they are furniture. Do not arrange the room to lure God. God is the room, God is the air, God is the silence. We do not create an atmosphere, we discover the only atmosphere there is. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from effort, liberty from dramatic proof, liberty from the compulsion to make something happen. Now, mark this well. Tonight, when we enter silence together, you are not to perform. No rhythms, no phrases, no spiritual gymnastics. Hold those teeth together. Let the tongue rest. Let the hands be unhelpful. Let the eyes fall half closed or softly shut. Let the forehead stop auditioning for the part of the concerned saint. And if the mind shouts, do not shout back. Nod at it as you would at a noisy passerby and remain. Stillness is not a technique. It is your refusal to keep performing separation. In that refusal, you will find the inner room already prepared, the door already shut, and the Father within already present. God is. That is the whole arrangement. And in that arrangement, grace appears without your help. Now we will do it. 10 seconds to settle, no fuss. Sit as you are. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let the tongue rest. Let the hands be unhelpful. Let the breath be whatever it is. Do nothing to it. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Within, say once, honestly, without decoration, God is. Then put the key down. No more words. We begin the 2 minutes now. Be still. Let the body be a shoreline. Let the tide do what the tide does without your breath on it. Thoughts will surge, lists, plans, memories, arguments, even verses asking to be recited. Do not fight them. Do not answer them. Do not improve them. Nod at them as you would at a passerby, and remain. Return not to words, but to the soft sense of isness that needed no syllable to be present. In him we live and move and have our being. You are not trying to feel that. You are consenting to what is already so. If the mind demands, what about tomorrow? What about the body? What about the bill? Do not enter the courtroom. No defense, no prosecution. Let the judge's bench be empty. Sit in the gallery of silence and refuse to try the case. God is. Not as a phrase repeated, but as the fact before all phrases. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. Yet in the quiet you know it the way light is known by seeing, not by describing lamps. The kingdom of God is within you. You do not reach it. You discover you never left. If a warmth comes, do not announce it. If a blank comes, do not fear it. The dawn does not make a noise. Leave the room untheatrical. Do not check the time. Do not measure your peace. Measurement is bargaining in a new costume. Be still and know that I am God. Not I and a condition, I am. If a scripture floats by, let it float. If a worry shouts, let it grow hoarse without an answer. Remain ashore and shore alone. If attention wobbles, let it wobble and right itself without your hand on the wheel. Your work is not to keep the wheel straight. Your work is to stop grabbing it. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The world's peace is proof. The Spirit's peace is presence. Presence needs no help to be present. The Father within doeth the works. Consent to that and keep silence. Now, as we come to the close of these 2 minutes, do not break the silence with self-congratulation or review. Simply seal the prayer inwardly, thy grace is sufficient. Then be silent again for a few breaths. Be still and know that I am God. One more breath. Another. No performance. Only isness. When you open your eyes or do not carry nothing out as a souvenir. We did not go somewhere, and we do not need to come back. We rested from pretending to be apart. In silence, you did not reach God. You discovered you never left. God is. That is all. And in that all, grace appears without your help. Now comes the first report, and it comes honestly. I felt nothing. Good. Let it be said and left. Often that means only this. The ego did not get a spectacle. The performer was not praised. There were no lights to applaud, no heat to claim as a badge. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. The master refused sign hunting. He called it adulterous to seek a sign, because sign-seeking betrays a divided heart, one eye on God, the other on the thermometer. Stop. Your Father need not audition for your senses. Grace does not stand outside your door shaking trinkets. Here is the rule. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet you can know it. Know what? A peace that is not of your manufacture, and therefore not yours to boast of. A stillness that is not the product of your technique, and therefore not fragile. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Elijah did not find the holy in wind, nor in earthquake, nor in fire, but in the still small voice, no theater, no clangor. So if nothing happened, do not go fishing for thunder. Let the sea be the sea without your bucket. Reframe this entirely. Results are not goals, they are fruit, and fruit does not come by strain. The branch abides, the vine bears. What fruit should you look for? Not to grade God, but to recognize the diminishing authority of fear. You find a pause where there used to be a pounce. You notice a softened tone where there used to be a sharp retort. You find yourself delaying the old compulsion, one less glance at the clock, one less rehearsal of doom, one less rush to manage outcomes. You observe a little more room around a symptom, a bill, a conversation. You sense a willingness to put the phone down, to let the last word go, to sit one breath longer without solving. These are not proofs for a scrapbook. These are indications that the superstition of another power is draining away. Perfect love casteth out fear. Where perfect love is recognized, fear loses its case. What then do you do when nothing happens? You refuse the post-mortem. You hold those teeth together if you must. Do not turn prayer into a laboratory. Do not rummage in the silence to see if a specimen wriggles. Seal it. God is. Walk on. We walk by faith, not by sight. And what is faith here? Not belief in thought. Faith is the rest in one power. As long as you believe there is power in a good sensation, you must fear the power of a bad one. Let both go. Let the senses be what they are, instruments of earth. Let the spirit be what it is, the life of your life. I will give you a picture. A young sailor wanted a dramatic star to guide him, the brighter the better. The captain put his hand on the compass. This will not dance for you, he said. It will only point. It is the pointing that saves ships, not the fireworks. Grace is like that. It does not dance for you. It orients you. You notice less wandering, fewer detours into panic, a straighter course without your bravado. No parade, No trumpet, only the steady rightness of direction you did not invent. The mind will protest. But is it working? Working by whose report card? Who by taking thought can add a cubit to stature, or add God to where God already is? The Spirit itself maketh intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered. If it cannot be uttered, it surely cannot be scored. Your task is to notice gently that the lion roars softer than yesterday, that your knees do not knock as quickly, that you are not so easily recruited into argument with shadows. That is grace's footprint, not sensation, but the quiet evaporation of intimidation. So if tonight you say, I felt nothing, answer it with silence, not debate. Consent to the unspectacular faithfulness of presence. Leave the demand for proofs to those still bargaining. We are not bargaining. We are beholding. God is. In that is, fear's license is revoked, and you, without noise, begin to live unafraid. Now we apply, not to 10 things, to one. Choose a single concern and do not name it. Do not dress it in adjectives. Do not rehearse how long it has been, who caused it, what tomorrow threatens. The less story, the quicker the surrender. Let it be like a shape behind frosted glass, present enough to acknowledge, too indistinct to argue with. Bring it before you for one breath, and then withdraw the tongue that would speak its tale. Hold those teeth together if you must. We are not here to make a case. We are here to end a case. Now, instead of God, fix this. Let there be only this. God is. Not God is, therefore let it turn out my way. Not God is, if I feel a certain warmth. God is. Say it once within, and then be still. Let the so-called need be swallowed whole in that isness. Do not place it outside omnipresence as a rival. Consent that where the problem claims to be, only God is. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me. Even there, right there, God is. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Then there is no corner of your life in which a second presence may establish a throne. One power means no other powers. Hear the distinction that will save you months of strain. Do not try to demonstrate supply or health or relationship. Demonstrate God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not wrested from the world. Added, not bargained for with techniques. To seek first is to end every second seeking. As long as you aim at a form, you enthrone form as a power. As long as you believe in the power of a good thought, you will fear the power of a bad one. End that dualism by refusing to treat the effect. Treat only the cause. God is. I am the Lord. I change not. Harmony appears by grace as the form suited to this day. Supply where supply seemed thin. Health where vitality seemed dim. Tenderness where bitterness had made its nest. But the appearing is effect. The realization is cause. How do you do it now? Very simply. Sit as we have learned, no performance. Let the unnamed concern hover without script. Turn quietly, say once, God is, and put the key down. Then, with no words, let consciousness concede. Here too, here especially, God is the only presence where this claim reports itself. Refuse to pick up a second presence called problem, circumstance, person, symptom, account. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not I shall not want if this condition behaves, but I shall not want because presence itself is the substance and law of being in the very place a lack pretends to stand. If the mind protests, but what about the payment, the test, the diagnosis? Do not argue. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to stature or add God to where God already is? The Spirit itself maketh intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered. If it cannot be uttered, your argument will not help it. Remain at one. God is. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing is not a thought, it is the absence of a second agency. Then stand up and walk gently into the next duty without testing the atmosphere. Do not measure your peace. Do not check the symptom. Do not thumb the account. That is bargaining in a new suit. Let the fruit appear of itself. The branch abides, the vine bears. In him we live and move and have our being. Where you move next, move in that being. Speak to no one of what you treated, for you did not treat a problem. You consented to God as the only presence where the problem claimed to be. That is our whole method. Make this the nightly discipline. One concern, unnarrated, yielded into the one. No drama, no outline, no proof demand. God is, that's all. And you will find, not with trumpet or parade, but with the quiet rightness that needs no announcement, that forms a line without your shove, that fear loosens without your lecture, that you are carried more than you carry. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Casting here is not tossing details heavenward. It is refusing to keep ownership. Ownership is the second power. Lay it down. Consent to the only presence, and watch without watching, as grace reveals the harmony that was never absent. We will go once more deeper. Fewer words now, almost none. Not because words are evil, but because even holy syllables cast a small shadow when you would stand in the full light. The first pass opened the door. This pass sits in the room and lets the furniture of thought grow quiet. Remember, the deepest treatment is not saying God is. It is the silence in which God is self-evident. Sit as you are. Do not improve your pose. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let the tongue rest. Let the hands be unhelpful. Let the forehead cease its sermon. Do not adjust your breath. Do not aim it. Within, once and only once, say honestly, God is. Then put the key down. No second key. No tail. No bargain. Be still and know that I am God. We begin now. Nothing to achieve. Do not hunt for quiet. Yield to it. Rest as awareness itself, not as a manager of awareness. Do not sit on the edge of the chair of your mind craning for a sign. Sit back within, where the chair dissolves and only being remains. Thoughts will wander by with their clipboards, history, schedule, symptom, account. Nod and let them pass without interview. You are not here to give answers. You are here to cease manufacturing a second presence. If fear rises or urgency pushes at the door, do not brace, do not argue, do not chant. Let there be, for one soft instant, a recognition. I can of my own self do nothing. Then drop even that into silence. The Father within me doeth the works. Say it once if you must, and then let the sentence fall back into the sea from which it came. Do not help God. Do not help yourself. Simply refuse to perform separation. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let the listening be simple, not listening for a message, not listening for instructions. The still small voice is not a telegram. It is the unmistakable assurance of presence without syllable. My sheep hear my voice. Sheep do not compose the shepherd's tone. They rest in its nearness. If warmth comes, leave it unannounced. If nothing comes, do not name it nothing. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet you can know it as the soft evaporation of intimidation, the unlabored rightness of simply being. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. If the mind insists, check the time, rate the peace, measure the fruit, do not negotiate, stop, remain ashore, let the tide touch or not touch without your breath upon it. The branch abides, the vine bears, you are not the vine. You are not even the branch striving, you are the abiding. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from verdicts, liberty from proof demand, liberty from the little overseer who never trusts grace to do its own work. Now listen, not for data, not for counsel, but for the quiet that needs no witness. Let the silence say what words cannot. I am that I am. Do not repeat it. Do not frame it. Consent that it be so, and let the consent be wordless. If a final sentence knocks, just one more prayer, one more verse, smile and do not open, you are finished before you finish. Stop before you get it right. Let the cessation be complete. As we come to the close of these minutes, do not break anything. Do not collect a souvenir. Do not promise to do better. Simply let the inner door remain on its hinges unslammed. If you must seal it at all, seal it without speech. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing here is not a thought. It is the end of two-ness. God is. In that is, the work is already done by grace, by presence, by the one that alone is. Now let me say why we sit together, why this has always been the way of the mystics, and the reason the Master spoke as he did. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. This is not personal magnetism. It is not the electricity of bodies packed in a room. It is not the swell of a crowd making a mood. It is the atmosphere of realized oneness. God is one. When two or three surrender their private doership and consent to one presence, they do not summon God. They remove the pretense that anyone has ever been apart. United receptivity dissolves the illusion of isolation faster than solitary striving. Why? Because the very I that longs to manage prayer is embarrassed into quiet by the sight, no, by the felt fact of others resting without management. The performer retires more easily when surrounded by those who have laid down the costume. They were all with one accord in one place, and the accord was not agreement of opinions, but the end of opinions in presence. Think of the ancient promise. If there be 10 righteous in the city, 10 who refuse a second power can lift the lot, not by lobbying heaven, but by subtracting the lie of separation from the atmosphere of the whole. One can chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, not because two minds are stronger than one, but because oneness recognized leaves so few footholds for fear to stand upon. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, liberty from the loneliness of being a private self trying to reach a distant God. In united stillness, the many selves grow transparent and the one self is obvious. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet you can know it as a shared rightness without author, as a quiet the room did not invent, as the lessening of intimidation you could not have arranged. For this reason, I ask you to engage one another, not to advertise results, not to gather trophies, not to run a score of marvels, but to witness simply the fading of I did it. Speak a sentence when you have one, not to prove a method, but to strengthen receptivity in another who thinks he is alone on his small raft. Say, today fear had less authority in me. Say, I stopped bargaining for a moment. Say, the old compulsion to fix it eased, and I could be still. Say, if you must say anything, God is. And I rested there for half a breath. That is all. No embroidery, no measurement, no parade. They overcame by the word of their testimony. not because testimony is a lever on God, but because honest witnessing to grace unmasks the superstition of the personal worker and invites others into the same mercy. As long as you believe there is power in a good story, you must fear the power of a bad one. We are not telling stories to gain leverage. We are reminding one another to lay leverage down. Let our gathering be a practice field, not a marketplace. We are not here to barter techniques. We are not here to swap clever sentences. We are here to stop. When we assemble across miles, across hours, or in one room, let your tongue fall out before you teach. Hold those teeth together if you must. Enter the closet together. Say once and only once within, God is, and put the key down as one consciousness. We do not collect testimonies to persuade the skeptical. We consent to presence to persuade the heart to rest. In Him we live and move and have our being. We, being many, are one body. We do not make that true. We recognize it. When two or three are gathered in His name, in His nature, in the isness beyond syllables, there He is in the midst, not as a visitor, but as the very life that we are. So let it be known among us. You never sit alone. When you close your eyes tonight, do not try to feel the hands of a circle. Do not try to sense a current. Simply concede that countless ones are consenting with you to the same one. Not many currents, but one sea. Not many candles, but one light appearing as many flames. Do not check the time. Do not check the feeling. Do not ask whether this united work is working. The Father within doeth the works within me, within you, within the all that is His own life. God is. That is the charter of our communion. In that is isolation loses its glamour, fear loses its voice, and grace appears without our help faster, not because we have crowds, but because we have less I and more one. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and in united receptivity, liberty is recognized sooner, shared wider, and kept with less effort, for effort has bowed to presence. Now we come to the only assignment I will give you and the only call I will make. It is not glamorous. It will not win applause. It will not give you a badge. It is this: tonight, 2 minutes, no more promised, no more demanded. Sit as we have learned. Close the door within. Hold those teeth together if you must. Let the tongue rest. Say once, honestly, without embroidery, God is. Then put the key down. For the remainder, be still. Do not add a phrase. Do not bargain. Do not check a feeling. Do not ask for a sign. Simply consent to what is already so. Do this not to earn points, not to accumulate merit, not to make a record of days performed, but to build a habit of non-interference. Your work is not to make God act. Your work is to stop resisting the presence that already is. Hear me now, because this is the edge at which the old mind will try to smuggle itself back in. The moment you use this to force an outcome, you are back in dualism. The instant you say God is as a lever on a condition, you have made a second power and you have left the room. Stop. Return again to surrender and receptivity. Say it once, then be silent. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask. If He knows, you need not inform. If He is, you need not import. Do not turn the key and then jiggle the door to see if a treasure chest falls out. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing here is not a thought. It is the absence of a second agency. If you catch yourself thinking, I hope this heals that, or perhaps tonight the account will change, smile gently at the old manager and step back into silence. No prosecution, no defense, no case. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Consent to that and keep quiet. Harmony appears by grace, not by might, not by power, not by thought, by grace. And grace reveals itself most quickly where personal effort has ceased its interference. Make it extraordinarily simple. 2 minutes. Once God is, then nothing. If a scripture rises, let it pass as a bird over water, leaving no wake. If a fear knocks, let it knock at an empty house. If warmth appears, do not announce it. If blankness remains, do not name it. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. Yet you can rest in it as the soft evaporation of intimidation. The kingdom of God is within you. You do not approach it, you stop departing. As long as God is, I am. Say it if you must, and then let it fall back into silence. As long as God is, I am. Not I and a condition, not I and a foe, not I and a hope, but I am because God is. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from the appetite to prove, liberty from the drive to manage, liberty from the superstition of two powers. Let that liberty be recognized tonight by your refusal to perform. This is the discipline. Stop, be still, and let the is remain. If you forget and find yourself repeating, stop. If you find yourself measuring, stop. If you feel drawn to fix a problem in the silence, stop. If you succeed at stopping for only 3 breaths, that is the whole ocean in one wave. Do not boast. Do not apologize. Walk on. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Peace does not arrive because you have perfected a method. Peace is recognized because you stopped rehearsing separation. And then if you must speak to another, speak one sentence only, not to parade results, but to strengthen receptivity. Something in me stopped bargaining, or fear had less authority. That is enough. We do not collect trophies. We confirm oneness. Tonight, then, 2 minutes. God is. Silence. No proof demand. No technique. No second power. As long as God is, I am. The kingdom is within. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Go now and do only this. Stop. Be still, and let the is remain.